good enough to see whether there is actually a flashing red light.
Yes, there is. I can see a flashing red light at the bottom.
Okay, we're on board. That's
The
great.
answer is no, they're not doing that.
Okay. Right. Welcome everyone to this interim meeting of the Parish Council in April. As you know, we received some planning applications after our previous agenda was set, so we couldn't take them at the last meeting. So if we make a start, item 1 on the agenda is apologies for absence.
Well, David and Colin are the two I've got. I haven't heard from Andy, so I don't know whether. I just don't know. So,
Are you happy to accept? So, Colin, it was I think a health issue,
yes.
And it's also dated as a health issue as well
Yes.
today. So, are you happy to accept? Apologies. Okay, thank you very much. Any declarations of interest? I can do my normal member of Sunset Council.
Yeah.
There's no other, any other declarations in relation to planning applications? Good. Item 3, the co-option approval and the
vacancy
yeah.
has arisen. We've technically at the moment we've got one vacancy as of now, which is the one to fill John's position, because the 14-day notice has now expired, so we can now approve the co-option process for that one. The other one, we've got to wait until the 22nd of June, 22nd of April, because that's also got a 14-day on it, and unfortunately with Easter in between, Easter and stuff, it means that there are some problems with getting clear days. So that one can be discussed and approved at the May meeting, not at this meeting. So at the moment it's just co-option approval to fill the one vacancy we have.
But we are in a position to put a notice in the next BPM saying that we've got a vacancy, and obviously we can then deal with those later.
And there's 21 days, the notice needs to be out 21 days as a minimum.
So if it goes in the next BKS, will by the time the next meeting comes around, so I'm thinking of people that want to actually apply, will there be 2 vacancies? So even though we're only saying 1 in them.
Yeah. So if you think about it, the deadline for the BKM is the 15th of this month, which will be for the May edition. So that will come out beginning of May.
Right.
People to send in. So we won't be able to deal with it at our May meeting as a co-option. It would be our June meeting anyway, and by then the other one will, providing an election hasn't been called, then we'll be in a position to use that same process.
Yes.
If there's more than one person who put the name forward, then we can look at both.
We do, just a moment, we do have one, I can't disclose it at the moment, but we do have one interested party for John's replacement.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on the co-option process? Yeah.
When would elections happen if half of the clubs have got co-opted on?
So in terms of the council as a whole, will be up for election in May of 2027.
Okay.
The only other way elections will happen is if a vacancy crops up and then 10 electors call for an election to happen for that vacancy. But for the council as a whole, for all those who are currently sitting councillors, if they don't resign, they will be in post until April 2027, and the elections will take place on the first Thursday of that May. It's the same day that the Somerset elections will take place.
Right. Interesting, we've only, since I've been around in 19 years, there's only been one actual election where we've had an election. All the rest, the vacancies are normally matched. The people are nominated, so or less, resulting in co-options.
And just to confirm, June would be the co-op, we'd make the decision what would get people to apply.
I would have thought the June meeting should be when we can do the co-option. I would put out what the sort of deadline dates will be for people sending their application form, so they know what they're in. Okay. Move on to item 4, which is the planning letters. The first one of the applications is works at 1 Brent Close.
6.
I'll do the location first and then existing and proposed. So the Manor Ride coming down here, Brent Street will be off here. house up there. So you then turn into East Ride, then turn, that's Brent Close, and that's the one in the one with the red line is the one that's got the application in. And if you can do the,
Existing proposed.
yes. It's fairly faint, but you can see that's the existing, so you've got a more or less square building with a little additional build on. And they're looking here at making it a rectangular building, going over what is currently there, doing away with a shed that was down here and putting in like a patio sort of bit here. So is there an elevation that we can actually?
Does that take it too near that boundary?
There's no planning rate to say it couldn't go that close. That's why it would require the, is that existing or is that?
It's existing.
Yeah.
Proposed for regulation.
So, yeah. So you can see here that's the, in effect, this lighter bit is the bit they're building on. So it is quite, it's a couple of bedrooms. Windows obviously are facing, these are the properties on Manor Ride, wouldn't they be? So that's 8 and 10. Manor Ride would be down this way.
It's quite a substantial extension, isn't it, for such a little.
Yeah.
Brent Close is a tiny little close as well, isn't it?
It is.
I was going to say, I think we could do is kind of knowing how much that's going to impact on the other properties.
Can you go back to the site plan? No,
No, next one.
next one, yeah. So you
So
can see those are the bungalows there, so they've got their back gardens, but obviously this is moving this one pretty close to the two sets of boundaries.
It is close.
And you can see obviously, like, similar to the proximity this side, but previously obviously had more room elsewhere.
Not taking up any driveway or anything like that, it's just all garden.
Have we had any comments or from anyone?
Not to the parish as far as I'm aware, we've not had anything. So I mean, it's open to members to three options: either support if you think it's something you want to support, object if you think there are issues that cannot be overcome, or no observations if you want to leave it in effect to Somerset to make up their mind.
My comments are all personal more than anything, and so the main concern is whatever property it's backing onto. So it's like number 10 with that number
That'll be number 10,
is how much visibility they will impose. Is it a single story?
yeah. Ian's bungalow.
Right, okay.
And the windows are
So
going
it's-
down the garden, towards the garden.
Can you go? Sorry, can you go back to the?
I'm
I've got a feeling it's bedroom windows that were coming that way.
Oh, right.
Proposed.
thinking,
Yeah, because that
Yeah.
went the other way. So just trying to work out where we are.
And spanner of those lines there, what we've got, I think.
So that north exists.
yeah, that's really confusing.
It's a bit confusing.
But ultimately, you don't need planning permission for a conservatory. That's just as many windows, and it's a single story. They're probably going to be looking at fence for windows. I don't think it will.
Yeah, it's not impacting on
Yeah, I
the
don't
road.
Yeah, certainly in terms of the normal thing of loss of privacy overlooking
Yeah,
is generally a second story because as you
Yeah.
say, they've got potential fencing or there is garden on the other side.
I was going to say, I propose we make no observations.
Yes.
yeah, no, yeah.
Okay, is that seconded?
One second.
All those please show. And I'll abstain with the case it comes back to committee. The second one we've got is 2 stories side extension to what they're calling Bramley House, which I believe is what used to be called My Ottoman on Station Road.
What's this called? What?
My Ottoman.
Oh, do you know what it stands for?
Yes.
Are we allowed to say that?
Well, yeah, it's what it stands for. It's,
Mind your own damn business.
Yeah.
MYODB.
Yeah.
Okay.
You took great pleasure telling me that the first time I called on this.
Yes.
So
the name anyway.
Yeah, so it's Crooked Lane is down here. This is Station Road, and this is, you can see that's the existing property again. It has been previously extended.
I think I know who they are. They're friends of mine, so I should probably know.
In which case, yes.
Yeah.
So can we record?
So you
put the
declaration.
Interesting on that.
So basically, they're extending out again towards the boundary on this side. As you can see, it's very comprehensive expansion in direction.
And just to confirm, at the end of Station Road, if you go all the way to the right, that's Burton Road, isn't it?
So
If you eventually
coming
get
down here,
down,
you've got right. So Crooked Lane is the one that goes out over the railway bridge where the road just runs out into the footpath. Right.
Can we look at the elevation, because this is a double story, isn't it? So
Yeah.
my only concern here is
So
that,
if you want the proposed ground floor, you want that one first?
Yeah.
Do that one first.
So that should obviously front elevation, which is the garage showing. So that's the front elevation, isn't it? So the garage is going in there. Station Road would be out this way.
I'm trying to get my head around that.
So you've got all this as additional. Have a look at it. You've got a bit of additional here. I think there might be a garage. I don't think there's a garage there already, so they're taking the garage in.
I think there is a garage there.
And there's a small extension on the back.
Yeah.
Do you want to see the existing? I'll tell you about the garage, won't it?
Yeah.
So there's a space
Yeah.
there at the moment. So it's taking in where they park the cars there at
It's
the moment.
yeah.
And there's the shed, the garage.
So if they're taking in as much of that shed, that's an enormous extent.
So if you look at this one, you can see there's almost like
Yeah,
double
yeah.
pitch. So that was the original property. Then they had the extension that took it out bigger, and then obviously then this is a further extension.
Which side would be facing the neighbours? If you're looking at the house from the road on the right.
Can we go back to the proposed?
If there are any windows in that, in.
I don't think there is.
There's no window going in that
Yeah.
side.
No,
There's a couple of windows up there.
Is that a window in the loft? I think it might be in that very last photo.
There.
Yeah.
It could be. It's not
But
clear.
it's not going to,
No.
nobody's
Yeah,
able to
right.
see that, so. Have we had any feedback whatsoever?
And looking over that, it looks like, well, there's bedrooms. That's the staircase, so you probably, that's lights, the stairs, that's not looking overlooking.
no, it's not really going to impact on
No.
the neighbouring property, is it?
I mean, the only thing they'll get is, obviously, it's living a lot closer to them, and it's
Yeah.
a big blank wall, but
But then they haven't objected, have they? So
not direct to us as a parish.
No,
And if they
no,
wish to
so-
object to something that they can obviously write in or put their comments in through the.
well, I propose we make no observations of it.
Yeah, I'm happy to second that.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favour of that, please show.
Whoops.
That's clearly carried.
Abstention?
Third one moves us into Brent Street and the former hairdressers.
So this looks like it's just a case of changing the shop into a flat. And there's already parking for that.
Yeah, it's kind of round.
So that's
Yeah.
site plan. If we can go to the actual site plan bit rather than the location plan. And I think probably on this one, the elevations is probably going to take me more than
There's already a flat
Oh,
over
so
the
they've
shop,
got
isn't
parking
there, and
space,
that
Yes.
rear exit.
Yeah, because there is a little
Yeah.
bit of a cutout
You've got
now.
a carport here, the other car's underneath, and then you've got a proposed parking space to go in front of where the windows currently are.
Yeah.
And your elevation.
It's a very, very narrow space out the front. I'm just wondering if there's going to be any difficulty with people parking in that space.
Well, it's already a drop curb there, isn't there? Because because people, I've seen people parking on there to go to access the hairdressers. If you have a couple of smart cars, you'll be right.
Motorbike. Existing site, yeah.
What about try the existing elevation, see how many loads they show, which directions? Because the only one they seem to go is west, which doesn't. Well, that's very good.
Not very good picture.
Are you able to try and go online?
Give it a go.
We could always have a look and see what's in West Elevation. They might put something else in there.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it showed that.
Oh, okay.
It was just that it was a very difficult to see, and it was only one direction.
That's fine, and see what we can find.
Is it just a change of use they're looking at?
Yeah. Well, we just need to check what they're doing to the front elevation, because I wouldn't be surprised if they would be looking to change that. If you're turning that into a residence, you wouldn't necessarily want full glass.
That's true.
Well, because it says here,
Eight one.
associated fenestration, is that windows?
Yeah.
That means windows, isn't it, fenestration? So it must mean, yeah.
Because at the moment they're very, very big windows because it's a shop.
Yes.
So.
There are shop windows at present on there, can change to a normal.
Well, that's the elevation we'll try and find. So if you go into planning documents,
There.
then it's the view plans.
Nice.
And go, just have to go down.
Single click.
Right, what have we got here?
Existing plan,
It's only got the West Elevation.
Can you click on the, okay, try the west elevation again and see what comes up.
Will access be to the front through where the shop door is at present?
That's what we're
Trying to figure out.
struggling to find out.
Looks like the rear of it.
I think that's bad.
It looks like that, doesn't it? That's the back,
Can we look at what else they've got? I think maybe one of the other proposed site plans might have an elevation on it as well. So is that proposed?
Proposed site plan.
Okay, so that's what we saw.
Yeah.
So try proposed ground floor plan. Right.
Okay, so the front door is coming in from the right.
Here's your end front, yeah.
It doesn't really tell us what they're
Living
doing.
room, kitchen, front bedroom in the back.
It looks like the door's where it already is, but it
Yeah.
doesn't really say what.
It doesn't show us what fenestration is going to be in here.
It's a bit difficult to comment on.
I think we also need to ask for more information on that.
Yeah, I think if we're going to go back and say we don't have an elevation for the
It might just be a
the
mystery.
street elevation, which is the most important one that people need to comment on.
In any case, we can probably get an extension until the May meeting.
Yeah.
Maybe
It
there's
was the last one that came in, wasn't
Yeah,
it? So
so, that's the only thing we can do, is get a bit more info and then put it on the agenda.
do you know which was the case officer dealing with that?
I think it was Liam.
Okay,
Right, just check. Maybe it won't.
it should show it on that front.
Shana, Charlie?
Could be Shanta.
Yeah.
You've got application details.
Chantal, yeah. She's not all that usual about she's not that keen on giving extensions, that's been a trouble, Sharon, so, you know, she.
Oh, I think that's a clear
That's a
miss.
clear, yeah.
All of that was something missing.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I'll ask for further information.
Further information.
I'd be astonished if the Somerset Council can approve it based on.
Yeah.
If it's possible, they just haven't scanned in.
Apologies,
Hi,
Chair.
Andy.
No worries.
Okay.
Yeah. Long drive.
Okay.
Just to get the Brent Knoll Parish Council.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Just in time for item 8, which is the village contract and alternate consideration.
Yes, I mean, Amanda, I know, raised this, said, you know, we need to look at the contract again that Jason currently has. Now, Jason's contract does end this time next year, we will have a new contract in place with Jason or who else the council decides to accept tender of. So, come this September, we shall need to really be seriously looking at the tender process. But in the meanwhile, I was talking with Amanda yesterday, and we were saying that perhaps what we need to do is have a working group through the summer, so that we can look around the village and see exactly what is not being done, what is being done, what should be added, what should be taken off. So that when we get to September, we know exactly what we're looking for. So when we go out to tender, we've got to be very specific, because most of the other people who tender, as they did last time, want specific details.
It's fine if someone knows the area, but if someone doesn't know the area, just saying
Yeah.
the village,
Yeah.
a lot of people think that ends at the A38.
Yeah,
Obviously.
What I did last time, I said to anybody who wanted to go last time, I said I'd drive them around the locations that we're talking about, so they know exactly what they're taking attendance towards. But we need to, before we do that, we need to know exactly what we are expecting from the contract.
Do we have a list of what Jason does now?
So
Specifically.
I sent out
I sent out something.
Okay, I haven't had a chance to read them yet.
There's an email gone out which has got a list of things, but it's okay, but it doesn't really nail down the detail as much as you would like.
Because
Give
in
you a rough idea.
fairness, we need to get Jason to re-tender, especially if we're changing anything.
Oh, yes.
Because his will be based on
Yes.
what he thinks he does now.
Yes.
I mean, when we go to tender, it will be an open tender, so he will be just like any other tenderer, he can choose to go for it or not.
I just thought that as we're starting this season now, we need to know exactly what's on the contract, because we can't expect Jason to fulfil his contractual obligations if we don't even know what they are.
No.
And it's a little bit vague. I think we could do with an updated map and a list, and like Owen said, a group that we could say, right, that isn't working, or that is working, or that needs trimming more often or less often, or whatever. So there's no point in having something which needs 20 cuts a year and we're only giving it 8, but vice versa on another piece of grass or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I just thought we ought to get it really nailed down now, like Owen said, what he actually is doing or what we're expecting.
We've got the summer season to do that.
Yeah.
It's the verge maintenance that's often the difficult area, because there's bits, a bit here, a bit there. It's not quite, the green is very specific.
Yeah.
So many cuts a year, and it's very easy to ascertain exactly what's going on.
Well, I would have no idea what we would be responsible for. So I think
Again, when you get the papers that are sent around, basically you'll find there are 2 sets of maps which are these, I haven't printed that particularly well, but they show numbered areas.
that corresponds
There is a-
list, yeah.
A corresponding list here which is supposed a potential tick sheet for areas to do. You'll find also with it there is a breakdown of what the costs were that we agreed last time. Plus, about it was 2 years ago now, we did a review and there were some amendments to the contract which were made in terms of increasing the frequency of doing the village green and that development. So it's in effect combining what we've got with anything else that we feel we need to deal with.
One of the things about that tick list, when we introduced that, the idea was that Jason would obviously submit that to me once a month and just tick off the things he's done that month. So we could then, if we wanted to, we could have a look at it or note some. But unfortunately, it hasn't really been very forthcoming over the last sort of year or so. And that's probably because we haven't sort of nagged him a little bit really, which we're quite entitled to do. So you know, there's that sort of thing I think we just need to look at.
I don't think it would all be also worth putting in into any contract how much ad hoc changes would be. So if we turn around, so let's say we nail down this is the price for X, if we decided to increase the frequency, him turn around and, or whoever it is, say what that ad hoc cost would be and get that into a contract rather than when we want it, oh, the new price for that is whatever, so.
To be fair to Jason, I mean, over the years, he's more or less maintained the same price. In all the time I've been here, I think he's had one price increase in
That's great.
18 years.
Jason
If
is
he's
our
doing-
future
and if he's doing the
contractor.
job, and
Yeah.
also if he's doing the job that
Yeah.
we're asking him to do. But if there's some holes in that, and
I
I don't
think-
know if there are or there aren't, but if there are, we need to identify them.
Yeah, no, I was going to say it's working, and like when we asked them last year to cut the green more often and shorter, and that's worked great. But there are some bits, like we said, the corner of Middle Street that was on there, and I think it's still on there. But it's the where people have driven so close to the road with big tractors and things like that. They've pushed it in, so he can't do anything with it. And so the things like that need to come off. But then there are other bits that would go on. And the one thing that people keep mentioning is the verge opposite the Methodist, which usually looks long and scruffy and is full of stinging nettles. And I know the daffodils are just going over there now, but it still needs trimming in between the daffodils. So there's a few things that I think we just need to look at really closely. And then, I mean, he's like you said, he's great at working with us, and he does a nice, tidy job. So we've got no problems with him. It's just that I said he can't be expected to know what he's doing if we don't really. It's like I said, it's change.
So is it your idea that we set up a little bit of a working group at the next meeting? When we do the working groups?
Yeah, so we can have a village maintenance working group to the list of working groups that will then be appointing members to.
Yeah. I have told Jason, I've had a conversation with him, and I said to him that, it is a tender review year, and we will probably want to meet up with you at some point during that year to go through what exactly is required, as we would any other potential tenderer. So he's aware of it.
And I think you're right, as per the record, it's not that we have complaints at the moment, it's just time to review.
It's to the end of his time anyway, so. And what I would just suggest, particularly for newer members, is once you've had a chance to look through the list and the map, see if there's any areas you're not sure about, just give us a shout. We're happy to point out where they are. And we can probably give you a 20-minute talk on the history as to why they're in and why they're not in. So
And the churchyard is a whole different ballgame on its own. We've had one or two little issues over the years with people in the church perhaps wanting certain things done and then approaching Jason, and he says, well, I've not been told to do that. That sort of thing. We've got to try and iron out those sort of issues. I've always said to Jason, you don't take any instructions from anybody other than the council.
And to be frank, the council is okay. Because again, not the current councillors, but there have been in the past some councillors who used to give private instruction to whoever our contractor was as to what they should and should not be doing.
And then I'd get a telephone call from Jason to say, I've been told to do this or do that. Is that right or wrong? And I don't really know. So,
Right. Item 9 then is mass report. Anything
after council, I've got a couple of things to
Okay.
Cold calling problems in the area and possibility of a neighbourhood watch group.
Just to bring something back up that we discussed several months ago, which was the concerns over postage or post coming into the village. Did we get any feedback whatsoever on that?
What we did initially, the response I had from the post office was, if anybody has a concern, then they write to the post office. That's
You won't get a response because there's no post.
It's about as helpful as post office normally are on most things.
Responses in the post.
Nothing else.
No, nothing for me.
I've just got a couple of things. There's some new legislation going through, which is going to come out 25-26. There's three items particularly that I've had to draw attention to me. One is the website at the moment. We have a disability access statement on there, which we're obliged to put on there by law. Unfortunately, like most other parish councils, our website is not disability accessible. It's in terms of the way you actually write documents and put them on there. And there is no parish council, as far as I know, apart from one, that is currently doing it in the correct way. Now, if that's going to be legislative this year, it means that we've got no choice, we have to do it. So there will be a cost involved in doing that, because it's something completely outside my realm. So we're going to have to get somebody to do it. I don't think our current web manager is geared up for it. I don't think he is anyway.
So it was discussed before, he said he wasn't.
He wasn't. So that's something we're going to have to consider. I mean, we've got a year basically to get ourselves compliant on that, but it will soon creep up on us if we don't get going on it at some stage. The other thing is the title of chairman is to be replaced by the title of chair for all parish councils.
Not so far, or still.
Apparently there's been a lot of debate about this, and some female chairmen have complained that in fact we should not be calling them chairman, and so it's being looked at by various groups, and it's likely to be legislative by the end of this year, and it will be chair in future from the end of this year.
Frankly, if they don't legislate it, we'll have to do it.
Yeah.
It seems rather absurd, really, because actresses are now asking to be called actors.
The world's gone mad.
Yes.
Yeah, the PC is too PC.
And the third thing,
Well,
which
that's my first clerk said to me that the chairman runs the meeting, the chair has 4 legs and gets sat on.
Yeah. Or a new role then.
yeah. And the third thing, something which we're already aware of, is email. Generic emails will, from next April, have to be a .org or something equal to that.
And how do we apply for those?
Well, basically, we have to set a domain. It's part of our domain,
Okay.
and it'll have to be set up as every councillor will have. So for example, it will be Jane Brent Knoll Parish Council, Jane PC Brent Knoll Parish Council .org.uk, and Gmails will no longer be acceptable, I'm told.
Well, that will be an annual cost and
Well, there will be a cost to that as well. So you add that to the cost of the website. I think there are some.
So do we have a domain in terms of, we have a domain for the website anyway, don't we?
We do, yeah, which is obviously hosted,
Yeah, so it
hosted
shouldn't be any
domain.
additional cost then.
So piggyback on that.
But again, it might be something we need to take further advice on.
Can I just check, so they're not going down there, because they were talking about making it all go.gov.uk.
No, they're talking about .org now, actually. So
When do we need to do this?
well, it's got to be done set up this year, but on the website, it's an ongoing thing
By this time next year.
by this time next year. So certainly during the autumn, once we get into the autumn, we should need to really seriously think about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. It's just these structural changes that they keep imposing.
So that's the new domain that we'll need then.
Probably
Well, we might be able to use the existing
we
one.
might be able to use
Is
it.
it .org?
We're a dot, no, we're a dot co.
So we need it's a new domain that we
New domain. So again, that might have to tie in with whoever advises on the website changes. There might be somebody who needs some advice on that.
It just strikes me as crazy that with all the expenses there
I know.
at the moment, we have to just add more.
Add more
things to
expenses
spend
on top of
money
it. For no real benefit, actually.
Maybe it's time to talk to our MP about.
Yes. We're seeing her next week. However, so they're the 3 items. They're not very inspiring items, but they're things that we're going to have to deal with, I'm afraid.
Okay.
And Chair, if we're seeing the MP next week, we've got a list of questions that we've agreed to pose.
Well,
She's going to be part of the panel, so it's up for members to.
But it would be quite good to get ourselves organised.
Yes.
So we cover everything off.
I was going to suggest that some people have some questions lined up.
Yeah.
Because if I'm chairing this thing and I say, any questions, and there's nothing from coming, I need some questions.
We could do a quick brainstorm, because you've just said that one about .org
Yeah.
and the two costs to parish councils.
Yeah.
Well, that's got to be two. We've got to ask what's the reason and rationale,
Yeah.
and what support we're getting for central government. Because if they're making us spend money, they should be assisting in funding,
Yeah.
and a number of other things that are coming up.
Yeah.
Also, when we moved to the unitary, there was all this justification for us moving to unitary. We would be taking on more responsibility, and that was the whole purpose. Where are we with that? Because that's actually not arrived, and therefore why have we gone to unitary? Apart from trying to bail Taunton out, of course, but what other reason do we go? So there are some fairly heavy questions to ask.
Yeah. I think the panel thing is a great idea, and let's face it, 2 years ago we had a really, really successful evening. I mean, quite a lot of people at the meeting. My only slight concern is with having the MP there, that we might get a lot of national issues rather than the local issues, which the whole thing is intended to be. And we've got Chris Berman coming, we've got Mike Smith coming, David Yates. So it would be nice to think there was a variety of questions for the whole panel.
Are you facilitating the meeting?
Sorry?
Are you facilitating the meeting?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so in your remit to say that question is not appropriate.
Well, yes, it is.
Or-
I mean, that's right. And that would be, and we didn't have any of those problems 2 years ago. It worked very, very well. But I think if we get too many national ones, that could be a bit of an issue.
So it would be worth us getting a list together of what
So I
we
was going
need
to
to
say,
ask.
can I propose that we will think of at least one
One
question
question, yeah.
and send it through to you?
I've spoken to a couple of other people who are coming, and I've asked them the same quick thing.
Yeah.
And if anybody can't come, I'll write down their question. Just say we've had a question from a resident, X, Y, Z.
Well, if we submit them all to you, then you've got a little list, and if we get the list back, we can make sure that we cover them off, can't we?
Yeah. Because the idea is that I direct the questions at the person who is most suitable to answer it. So if it's a national question, it's only going to be Tessa, really, isn't it? Nobody else. And probably nobody else might even have a view of it. I don't know.
And you get a political answer back, because she's not Labour.
Right.
All right?
Yep, so next meeting date is down for the annual parish council meeting, which is one where we do all the, the elections to various groups. So thank you very much for closing the meeting.
Thank you.